episode for August 18th, 2025.
And smash that subscribe button.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B, or the One Tin Soldier. Today, the NFL is back. Thank God. Thank God. I think a lot of us were waiting for it. Preseason is here, but also fantasy football, which means fantasy football drafts, some wild overreactions. Want to talk about that. And there's a new rule I have for fantasy football that I will apply, and you should too. Also, preseason, the biggest story so far is Shadeur Sanders. There are two things I've already seen, and I've been dying to talk about Shadeur again because there's just overall why I think he's going to be just fine and possibly quite good in the NFL. He already showed in just that preseason week 1. Taylor Swift was on new heights with the Kelce brothers, and oh boy, Travis Kelce sets a new standard for all of us husbands and boyfriends that we can't live up to, and they even sneaked in some legit sports takes. I'll give you my reaction to that with some highlights. And the WNBA, no Caitlin Clark, the ratings dropped, but also other things have dropped on the floor a lot. The green you-know-what stunt that's got the league fuming. Although it's not the first time that it's happened. I want to address that. That's something people should know more. And I have a fix that they're going to hate. They're not going to want to hear it from me, but they actually need to do it. So lots to get into, but like I said, football season is back.
Football is back, bitches! Yeah.
The football withdrawal is now over. This is something that actually they talk about every year when football season comes back. This is a real thing. Football withdrawal is the, quote, intense emotional and psychological experience some fans feel during the NFL offseason, because it really is a sport that, man, people love and get into, and then between fantasy and the games and everything else. It is not technically a medical condition, but a lot of people will say it's very close to a depression because of the dopamine drop, and it's just what happens when months of touchdowns and trash talk goes away for a while. Your dopamine supply goes down to zero, and they've even included symptoms like sudden loss of interest, trouble focusing, mood swings, mild anxiety. So it's a real thing. Football withdrawal. But it's over now.
Baby, you did it. It's over.
So NFL is back, and like I said, fantasy football is probably the first thing we need to get into. Did you know that an estimated 79 million people are going to play fantasy football this year? To give you an idea, only 47 million play video games. So almost double the amount of people, and think how many people you know that play video games are going to play fantasy football. It is by far one of the biggest additions to the NFL season, other than just, gambling or just being a fan. And the first thing everyone does when you talk about fantasy football, you got to do your drafts. And again, I'm going to give you a rule, but the main thing that I think is important is your team name.
What's your name?
Your fantasy football team name is always a fun thing, and I did this last year, and we're going to do it again. I want to give you some of the darker football fantasy, not safe for work team names you can do. This way you can announce your presence with authority and let everybody know you're not taking any mess.
To announce your what? Announce my presence with authority.
I scoured the internet and I found the best, worst fantasy football teams names out there. This is going to be, by the way, a trigger warning. These are not safe for work. They're not safe for your fantasy league. They're not even safe for your family group chat. And how it's going down is I'm going to give you a new top 5 this year, all new names for 2025, but I'll also hit you with some of the old greatest honorable mentions in between. So like I said, it's fantasy football team name time to announce your presence with authority. Trigger warning, these are not safe for work, and these are going to get dark, but it's still pretty funny to me, so let's get into it. The first one I want to do is number 5, Diddy's Oilers. Diddy's Oilers. Fun fact, the Houston Oilers have not been there since 1996, and in 1996, a certain Diddy, now was named Puff Daddy at the time, released his debut single, Can't Nobody Hold Me Down.
And isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Which, ironically, can apply to both the Oilers and Diddy, even back in 1996. Honorable mentions include Circumcised Penix, Penix Envy, Injigbaz with Attitude. That sounds better than it looks when you spell it, but Injigbaz with Attitude. I Put It in Her Burt, Consensual Flex, Chasin' Purty Young Hoes, and one of my favorites from last year, Step Burrow, I'm Stuck. Boy, these stepsisters and everyone online, they keep getting stuck and beds and laundry machines and stuff. It's crazy out there. Number 4, Justin Tugger's dishonorable discharge. And that's combining the two, as now Justin Tucker, the most accurate kicker in NFL history, is currently serving his suspension for violating league rules, much like Deshaun Watson. And I guess they were more alike than we ever thought. Honorable mentions also include Never Go Bass to Mouth, JPP's 3-finger discount, Najee Germany, Off in Church, because nobody beats Off in Church. That's clever, I guess. And this was my name last year, Who Killed Charbonnet Ramsey? And Zach Charbonnet will once again be a good sleeper pick, but I still don't think enough people know why that name is just so messed up. Google it online and you'll find out. But Jesus, Who Killed Charbonnet Ramsey? Number 3 is Shadeur Sandy Hook and Ladder.
Okay, let's move on.
Honorable mentions include Maytanic Rituals, Beats by Ray, Touch of Downs. This one, I love dogs, but Kibbles and Vic. Kibbles and Vic, and Vic. That's pretty clever. I got to give him that credit there. At number 2 for not safe for work fantasy football team names, Doing the Neighbor's Wife. This one wasn't that offensive, but I think it's the most clever, and Neighbors is also going to be a good sleeper for me this year. Former 10th overall pick right now is sitting around WR25 in your fantasy drafts. Honorable mentions include Hittin' Rugs, I Chase Children, DeMartiac Arrest, which is, oh my God, just diabolical. And my number 1 honorable mention, this is from last year, Hanging with Hernandez, which I still think, as dark as it is, kind of sounds like a 90s sitcom or something. Go watch Hanging with Hernandez right after Full House. And so number 1 this year for my new not safe for work fantasy football team names you can go with is Suicide Squad, but I made it Suicide Squad 3 Collision Course to go ahead and give a title to go with it. And that's, I know it's savage, and I love Tua Tagovailoa, but he's been in concussion protocol, man, so many times. Roger Goodell might as well have his own reserved parking spot in that damn blue tent.
Hey, Coach, and who are you? I'm Batman. Sit down.
And I hope he learns how to slide and not take a hit, but still, you got to give credit. Suicide Squad is a pretty good dark fantasy football team name. So there you go. That's the list, the best of the worst. If you like that, hit the comments. Let me know if you think you can beat it. Drop your dirtiest, darkest team name below. Let's see who can top this. But that is, once again, for the second season in a row, darkest fantasy football team names. Pick them and use them at your own discretion. Off of fantasy into real football, I want to talk about Shadeur Sanders. Had himself a hell of a week 1, and there are 2 things I saw there why I think he'll be good. I'm going to give you 2 keys, but I want to give an overall breakdown because Shadeur is easily the biggest story so far of the preseason. He's just got the Deion dad name, swag, the it factor, whatever you want to call it. He got 2.2 million viewers in his debut. That was the number 1 TV program of the night that night. That was a week 1 preseason game, and he was quarterback for Cleveland. Shadeur has star power, and I'll give you my own personal take and opinion. I've been dying to talk about him for a while because I've been a fan since Colorado.
Legendary.
And in my opinion, and I'll take this to my grave, Jerry Jones, you screwed up. I was begging, pleading, hoping that the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm not even a Cowboys fan, but it just made perfect sense. Dude, go get Shadeur Sanders, especially after he fell so far in the draft. Hire Deion as the head coach. Make the Cowboys, you're already a circus, be the circus. And it's not just the circus, man. I was at that preseason game. I actually lived close, and I got to watch the Rams-Cowboys preseason game. Holy crap, the Cowboys suck this year.
They suck. The Cowboys suck.
I mean, they got their top stars. They better be able to carry them literally because, boy, the Cowboys are awful. You should have picked up Shadeur Sanders and hired Deion. I don't think what you did was any smarter, but I digress. Also, in breaking news, Shadeur does have an oblique strain. He will be out for preseason week 2. That is unfortunate because after a joint drills with the Eagles, he had an oblique strain. They said it's not serious, but they do at least expect him to miss the next preseason game. They already have injuries going on at quarterback, and obliques can linger, and this could be a speed bump in the quarterback battle where it seems like the coaches also, where he was kind of forced upon them by the owner, and I think Stefanski and others, I don't know if they really want to put Shadeur at the top spot. But as far as what he did on the field, I got to go back to it and show you because it really was, man, his debut was prime time literally in viewership, and I thought he did a great job. He was 14 of 23 for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, 19 rushing yards, and a 30-10 win, and he looked poised. And I thought what was more noteworthy, in college, he was notorious for taking sacks behind that weak offensive line at Colorado, sacked, of course, 52 times in 2023, second most in FBS. And in the preseason game, he was elusive. He was moving around. You could see his poise under pressure. He didn't just bolt like a lot of young quarterbacks do when the pass rush comes. He didn't just immediately jump ship and try to scramble. I actually look back and go, maybe that trial by fire he had at Colorado with that sieve of an offensive line was a blessing in disguise. It forced him to make decisions under duress and get that practice and learn to develop a type of calm that a lot of quarterbacks, that young ones, they don't have coming into the league. I think of people that come from ironclad systems like a Tua, who I was joking about earlier from Alabama. He didn't have to worry about it. He had the greatest offensive line in college, and he gets to the pros, and he's running and scrambling and making bad decisions, even at the detriment of his own health. Meanwhile, Shadeur, who had to practice a lot because he had pass rushers coming up his butt like proctologists every time he snapped the damn ball, suddenly he looks elusive, he looks great, he knows how to handle himself under pressure. I actually think that ended up being a blessing in disguise, that bad O-line in Colorado. But the two main reasons, and I want to get into this, why I think Shadeur Sanders will succeed, and I think these are important to note here. The first one is a big one because this is just, for me, any quarterback. There's so many things that people look at when they go to quarterbacks, arm strength and scrambling and hand size, and he can throw it 70 yards and he can run a 4.140, and all that's great. But I'll tell you right now, when it comes to a great quarterback, what separates the legends from the rest, and this is what Shadeur does excel at so far as a young quarterback: get through your reads quickly, process the defense fast, and make calm and accurate throws under pressure. Everything else is a side order. It's dressing. It's not the meat. The meat is you can get through your reads quickly. Can you process the defense fastly? Can you make calm and accurate throws under pressure? Do you not lock in on one guy? Are you able to scan the field? Are you able to see your first option, second, third, and find the open man before the defense closes in? Can you process that defense quickly? When you come up to the snap, have you been studying? Do you know what coverage you're looking at? Can you spot the blitz before the snap and adjust? And the biggest part as a quarterback, there's going to be 2 or 3 times a year, it's going to be 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, season on the line, defenders closing in. Can you stay in the pocket? Can you still make an accurate throw? Can you still hit that receiver in stride? Can you convert that huge 3rd down under pressure? That is what the Mahomes, the Bradys, that's what they've always done well. They never had the biggest arm. They never were able to scramble great. They didn't have always the most athletic look. Brady's combine film was almost embarrassing. But one thing the great ones can all do, they get through their reads quickly, they process the defense fastly, and they make calm, accurate throws under pressure when the season's on the line on a 3rd and long. Shadeur has been doing those exact things since he was a kid. You go back to Colorado, and this is where I was watching. I'm like, I think this kid's got it, man. I think a lot of people have already forgotten. 2023, he threw for 3,230 yards, 27 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions that season. He also set the Colorado single-season completion record at 69.3%. He had 5 300-yard passing games in that season. He had multiple passing touchdowns in 8 different games. Over his career in Colorado, he had an NCAA record 71.8% completion rate. He completed 71.8% of his passes. He threw for 4,134 yards and 37 touchdowns in 2024 alone with that bad offensive line, both school records. Over his career, he also had that 510-yard game versus TCU on 81% completion, also Colorado records, and only 13 interceptions in 2 full seasons. He's a pocket assassin, and he knows how to move when it's necessary, but he also isn't reliant on his legs like a lot of these guys you love so much more. The first thing they want to do is scramble, because that is something, you take that away and you almost force a guy to learn how to handle himself in the pocket. That's what an NFL quarterback does to me. I really don't see the greats. When you look at the actual greats, the true GOATs of NFL quarterbacks, prove exactly what I'm saying. Just go down the list. Look at the GOATs and tell me I'm lying. Look at the GOATs and tell me I'm lying. Quarterbacks like Tom Brady, 7 rings. Joe Montana, 4 rings. Peyton Manning, 2 rings. Drew Brees, a ring. Mahomes, 3 rings. Now let's compare that to the Cannon Arm Club. John Elway, Probably your best argument. Only 2 rings. Brett Favre got that 1 ring. Lamar Jackson, great as he is, 0 rings. Josh Allen can throw it a mile, can do this, tall, huge, that's great, 0 rings. Andrew Luck, he had some healthy years, and y'all told me he was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. 0 rings.
The defense rests.
Again, Brady, 7, Montana, 4, Manning, 2, Breeze, 1, Mahomes, 3, the actual GOATs of the NFL. Tell me which one of them were known for their super strong arm or being able to scramble 80 yards or do any of the other things that we look at so much in today's NFL. Then look at the ones that actually did do that and were combine darlings, even the ones that ended up being legends. Elway, Favre, Jackson, Allen, Luck. I just think for a quarterback in the NFL, it is mental sharpness, and it will beat arm strength 99 out of 100 and almost every time. So that is something I see with Shadeur that I like and I think is not given enough credit in even today's scouting, which I don't quite understand. The other thing I like about Shadeur, and this is something that is not just appropriate to quarterbacks, it's appropriate to everybody, but I think it really applies to a quarterback more than anyone, to have what I call the matrix level confidence. To have that Matrix level confidence.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon.
Just rewatched The Matrix a couple days ago, and there's a scene, if y'all remember this movie, and go see it if you haven't in a while, with the Oracle, and Neo is trying to figure out whether he's the one yet. And the Oracle lays it on real easy for him and said, dude, look at that sign. That means know thyself.
Means know thyself.
Being the one is no different than being in love. You'll just know it. No one can tell you. You just feel it. Balls to bone. Nobody can tell you otherwise. You can't be explained to or convinced you're the one. You have to be able to just know it, feel it, and then act it out. That is something that quarterbacks, when they have to lead, think of young ones too, coming in to a locker room full of grown-ass men. That is something I think you either have or you don't have. And you can argue whether that's nature versus nurture or why that ever comes up in the first place. But Shadeur, from a very young age, has been taught, dude, you're the man. You got to handle this team. You got to lead them. You got to carry them. That is something he's done very well. And yes, sometimes you have too much swag with Shadeur, whether it was that stupid-ass legendary locker room he had at the draft and he had to watch himself drop to 5. He got prank phone called, and I think he got some humble pie there. He had those press conferences like, oh, I'm here to change an entire franchise and yada, yada, yada. Yes, you do have to pull back with him, but I would rather have to pull back than have to add. I would rather him be able to walk in and say, I know I can do this, don't worry about it, I got it, versus a talented kid who just doesn't have the swag and is not able to convince the rest of the team that he's there and he knows what he's doing. A great one I could think of lately would be like a Zach Wilson over the Jets. He just never looked like he belonged.
Say hi to your mom for me.
Shadeur walks into a camp and says, dude, I'm the one, I know what I'm doing. I think that's huge, and I don't think, again, that is another key that gets enough credit. So is he accurate? Can he read defenses? Does he work hard? And does he just know? Not to be explained to, just know thyself. Are you the leader of this team? Shadeur has that in droves, and I think I would rather be able to pull back on that than have to worry about having to add it. So you look, again, the injury is bad. He still needs support around him more than he's going to need this year in Cleveland. But looking ahead between the injury, the coaches, and the strength of schedule, the good news is he probably won't play till week 8. I don't see them throwing him to the Wolves early. I don't think they really want to put him in as the starter. I would like to see Flacco as the veteran start the season off and just go through. It's a murderer's row out there, weeks 1 through 8 in Cleveland. So the schedule probably won't allow him to become available till then. But when he does, I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's a good quarterback. He is poised under pressure. He seems mentally unflappable. He has dealt with so many things over his life, so many adversities and pressures and struggles. He handles them. He seems to know himself well. I know it's just preseason week 1, but I see the ability to handle the pass rush. I see the ability to make accurate throws. I see the ability to know and want to be a leader. I think Shadeur Sanders is eventually going to be the starting quarterback and a good one in the future for the Cleveland Browns. It will probably not be till week 8 because really it makes more sense to put Flacco out against that murderer's row. Moving on completely, I want to talk about a certain podcast, the Taylor Swift appearance on the Kelce's New Heights podcast. Oh, Lord, this was a lot. Taylor Swift was on New Heights, and it dropped yesterday. Already has over 12 million views last I checked on YouTube in under 48 hours. It was billed as one of the most anticipated podcasts of the years, and early numbers suggest that it could break, of course, New Heights record. It'll clearly do that, and it could be one of the biggest podcast interviews ever, numbers-wise. That is still up for debate. I want to say a couple things because I got some highlights I want to show you and give you my overall reaction. First thing, I'm going to give a warning to all boyfriends and husbands out there because Travis Kelce really sold us up the river here. Travis Kelce, in this interview, right out of the gate, set such a dangerously high bar for every boyfriend and husband. I mean, this entire episode, dude, he didn't just shower Taylor with compliments. He did it like he was on a freaking mission and was just so over the top and just, it was so lovey-dovey and they're looking at each other and the whole time Travis is just laying it on thick, man. You're a genius. You're an athlete on an NFL level. You know, she works harder than me when it comes to her physical conditioning. You know, so many big words. He was so impressed because she knew words like esoteric or effervescence. And it was just like, oh my God, how could you know? How could the greatest songwriter know the word esoteric? It's crazy. He gives across very golden retriever energy. Like, think when, you ever seen those owners where they'll hold up a towel and then they'll go behind the doorway and the dog just suddenly is just completely freaked out and just like, oh my God, are you a wizard? How did you disappear? You must be magic. It was kind of the same with listening to Travis just go over the top and nonstop effusive. Women online are absolutely eating this up, especially the Swifties. So I will warn anyone that's a guy out there that has a significant other, do not watch this with them unless you've been on your best behavior.
I want a divorce.
Dude, because if you're in trouble, you're going to get the look. Even if you're not in trouble, they're probably still going to give you a little bit of the look or that side eye of like, why don't you say all this about me every day? I'm the smartest, most beautiful. I know big words. No. It's not going to end well for you if you're in trouble currently, so I just want to give a first part warning. The number one thing I noticed immediately, I was like, oh boy, Swifties, they ate it up. You should have seen the comments online. This is how real men are. No. You are in trouble if you're in trouble already and you try to watch that podcast with your other partner there. She will, I promise you, have something to say.
Tell me I'm beautiful.
The vibe itself of the podcast, look, it was a puff piece, and I don't think that was really that shocking, but it did feel comfortable. It felt natural. A lot of Taylor Swift fans were just happy to say, hey, look, man, she seemed genuinely relaxed. The Kelce brothers kept it light, and let's be honest, though, it was a puff piece. There was no hard-hitting questions, although I've heard Swifties now say, hey, man, that's actually, we didn't want an interview where there was any gotcha questions, but it was a love fest, which is fine, but I also think it's the reason it won't break any records. Like, it's going to do well. Anything Swifty does, she announced her new album, for Christ's sake, on it. It's going to go well. I don't think it'll hit like the Shannon Sharp, Cat Williams levels or the Rogan Trump interviews, which are the highest, most watched podcast of all time, because there's just no controversy. There's no meat. Shannon and Cat got 70 million views in their first month. Rogan and Trump have hit over 200 million across platforms in just under 2 weeks. It's pacing well. It's already over 12 million. I'm going to guess 30 to 40, maybe 50, 60, which is close, but it's still not going to get there. There just wasn't enough anything other than, again, just a pure love fest. Oh my God, esoteric, effort. How could she? So, but it was cool. It was interesting, and they did talk some sports, and that's something I do want to talk about. I did find a couple highlights that were at least sport related because, you know, Travis does play for the Chiefs, and Taylor, whether you like it or not, has had a huge influence on the NFL, and I think is a positive overall. So let's start off with this first one here. This is from last night. They were talking about how Andy Reid, it started with how Andy Reid was the one who claims he now got them two together as a couple, but they talked about his leadership, and I thought that was interesting. So Mateo, if you can hit this video here for me.
Andy Reid has recently revealed that he was the one who set you guys up. How true is this revelation by Big Red?
Whatever Andy Reid says, we're going to stand by.
We're not going to refute anything.
He says it. That's what happened. And like from the way that you talk about him, his leadership style is so, I respect it so much.
Right.
Because I feel like it's done without like aggression or raising your voice or losing your composure. It's all very composed and focused.
Can happen.
He will rip you apart for sure.
But not in
you got to be really like not
I feel
running
like
the plays he's calling.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, but it's not done. It's not overdone, right? Like if you get it from him, you deserve it, and you're going to shape up.
Exactly.
That's what I heard from you.
And there's validity to it. There's like such a genuine like want to get better that him getting you to like do it the right way is it's like a disciplinary thing. It's just like he wouldn't be doing it unless he saw the greatness in you or he saw your ability to get it right, and he wouldn't be doing it this way if it was any other way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a stoicism too, which makes the heart when he shows it to you, and I think this is what you're kind of saying, Taylor. He's so like composed and so like locked in. And then all of a sudden when he does show that little bit of like warmth, it's like, oh, there's that teddy bear. I see him.
Yeah, he's funny. He's cheeky.
Yeah. And then,
but it's like everything has a reason. Like everything is very like intentional. He's like, I feel like he like coaches and lives in a very intentional way, which I think is really awesome. And it's just like a great leadership style.
Yeah. There's a layer of trust and there's a layer of like discipline where you're going to have some fun playing for him, but you're going to know when you got to flip that switch to be serious and be on point and do it his way. He says it all the time. He's got 51%. I was like, all right. Whatever you say, boss.
I always feel like when you lose your shit, you lose your leadership,
Yeah, for sure.
It's just kind of something I've always kind of tried to administer in what I'm doing. But he's a huge role model for that, of how he motivates people and how he does so without flying off the handle, and is just very focused on what the right thing is at the right moment.
Yeah, I thought that was actually some great points there and some good insight from both two different worlds, but still involving leadership, because talking about Andy saying he's a player's coach, but he still demands excellence and that he will rip you apart if necessary, but it's rare. So when it happens, you know you deserved it. And everything he does is intentional, measured, rooted in wanting you to succeed. Those really are what makes a great leader. So it makes sense that Andy is so successful in the NFL for as long as he has been, because like she said, losing your shit is just never a good thing to do.
I'm going to lose my f***ing shit.
And just in general, whether it's coaching, whether it's leading a company, whether it's making music, whether it's doing a podcast, it's never good to be just one thing, too nice or too soft. I mean, life is it's a rhythm. Does that make sense? There's a wave to it. There's an up and down. If a song is just dun, 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 the whole time, it doesn't work. You got to have crescendos and lows and highs and be able to show different parts of you and have different aspects to you. I think that is something that is key to a leader. So hearing and understanding why they both saw in Andy Reid that same thing of like, yeah, he can get on you and he has his abilities, but he also knows when to pull it out and when not to. I think a lot of us have had either coaches, bosses, or anyone else who are just constantly just da 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 da. That wears thin in the same style as if someone's just always like, hey, could you please do it better? You got to have both. Life is a rhythm. That's what makes a good leader. I thought that was actually good analysis there. And the other quick note I would say for that, this is something that I want to just throw in for anyone who's a parent of an athlete who has a kid that might want to get a scholarship or is trying to get one. If you're an athlete, if you're a young kid trying to get an athletic scholarship or you're being offered them currently, even if you're just a job seeker out there and you're currently in between jobs, I will give you the best advice I can ever give you as an old man who's learned some things. Follow the coach. That's it. When I am able to talk to kids who actually believe me, I'll play with some basketball with them or something. Go, oh, you actually played. What was your advice for me? I'm looking at, a few different schools. Follow the coach. Same if you're looking at a job. Follow the boss. Forget the money. Forget the city you're in. Forget the facilities. If the leader of that place does not have your best interest at heart, nothing else will matter, and you will hate that existence. They are the one person that will set the tone for your entire experience, whether it's a job, whether it's a coach, whether it's a college. No matter what, I will always preach now in life experience. It has taught me that the best thing you can do is follow a coach and screw the rest. Everything else is secondary, and I thought that was some actually good insight on Andy Reid, leadership style, etc. The other thing they talked about sports related I thought was good, and it's something that needs to be brought up more even now, because a lot of people, and she made that great comment even of like, oh, NFL fans, the thing they want more than anything is to see me some more.
Look, you little smartass.
But the Swifty effect on the NFL is real, and I think it's a good thing. I'm not one of these people who bitches about this. And so they talked about it. Hit this next video here for me, Mateo.
How many people have come up to you guys and talking about how much they've appreciated you being a part of the Chiefs and like their daughters all of a sudden being into sports? Because I get it all the time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how much you guys get it, how much the game has grown.
It definitely feels like a lot of people say that to us, which is really kind because there was never a thought in either of our heads that was going to be.
I had no idea. That was a pleasant surprise. Seeing all the little girls in the stands at games, and you could see a proud father right there standing next to him. It's definitely been fun to see that like surprise.
You know, I think a lot of the women and girls, maybe they watched one game to see me cheer on my boyfriend or whatever. But if they stayed, which is what people are saying based on the numbers, that's because the game is so great and it's such an amazing, interesting thing to learn about. I love this like new world that Travis has shown me because it's so fun. It's so exciting. There's so much pressure on these players that I kind of was like, I've only ever been in music and been like, you know, seeing that, but the pressure on sports is just such a different type that I have such a respect for everyone. Like everyone I meet on his team, like everyone I see doing this, I'm just like, you've been focused on this since you were a kid and it shows.
Well, and I'm sure there's a lot of relatability there. And
yeah, and so I thought that was great because, you know, for people that want to hate on this and hate on Taylor being there and everything else, she has brought that whole new fan base. And as I was giving Travis some grief for setting a bad example for us as boyfriends or husbands, she also gave some pressure to girlfriends and wives because of Taylor Swift, who in that podcast talks about, dude, she knows now cover 2, cover 4, cover 0. She knows the game, like who they've been drafting. She's gotten into the game and she's learned to become a fan of something that she never cared about before. That is huge for the NFL because her influence is so ridiculously strong, and it's bringing in a fan base that they've never even thought about having before. Young girls, teenage Swifties, casual music fans who have never watched a football game, much like Taylor, are now suddenly the biggest new market in the NFL.
I love football.
Thanks to her and her alone, man, viewership among teen girls from 12 to 17 jumped 53% when she started going to Travis Kelce's games. Chiefs merchandise spiked 400% after the first game she was spotted at Arrowhead. Ticket resale prices shoot up over 250% every game that she goes to. NFL's Instagram gained over 2 million followers in just 2 weeks. The Chiefs-Jets game that she showed up to a year or two ago was 27 million viewers. That was the most watched Saturday night game since the damn Super Bowl. Nearly half of those new viewers, by the way, these young female viewers like Taylor, have stayed tuned even when she is not at the game and are still learning about the game. NFL execs have literally said she is now introducing a new generation to the game. So even if they did start off just come to see her and see Taylor and talk about her outfit or whatever else, many did get hooked in the way that we all did watching this sport. And even she said at the end of that, I've grown to love the game. I've learned about the pressure and what you guys go through, and it's really fun and it's exhilarating. So guys, don't get too cranky about this. Don't be hating like the WNBA does on all their new fan base.
Don't be hating.
This is a good thing. If Taylor is now a fan and she's talking about things like, again, cover 2, we drafted Worthy, that's only going to inspire, hopefully, your girlfriend or your wife to be like, well, if Taylor thinks it's cool, I must be able to think it's cool too.
Oh my God, Taylor Swift!
Let me learn about the game. Suddenly you're able to watch the game together rather than be stuck in a man cave or stuck somewhere else, because now you can enjoy something that you've loved forever specifically because of her. So overall, it was a puff piece podcast. I had some reactions again as a partner of going like, oh boy, Travis put us in a lot of trouble. But Taylor does have a huge impact on the NFL, a new fan base, being able to make you hopefully enjoy the game with your girl rather than being stuck having to fight over when you can watch it. And I also like what they said about leadership style with Andy Reid, how that applies to life in general. It was cute. It was fun. There wasn't enough meat. I don't think it's going to break records, but it is probably going to hit 50, 60 million and is overall worth the watch if you have time. Everyone's been watching and talking about it. It's the New Heights podcast. Just Google that on YouTube and you'll find it. Speaking of people bringing everything to the NBA and struggles in the WNBA, with Caitlin out, nonsense has come in, and we got to talk about it. It's a wild time, and there's something specifically that's been happening, and I have a solution that you don't want to hear, but you also need to know it's not the first time it happened, and y'all need to stop being so sensitive about it, even though that's me mansplaining it to you. But it isn't even the first time it's happened in pro sports. The toy throwing thing, and I'll break it down in a second. When substance vanishes, nonsense dominates. That is what's happening with the WNBA and the throwing of the toys. Y'all mostly know what I'm talking about. This has been very well discussed. But without Caitlin, man, the ratings have really took a hit, and the attention away from the sport has really gotten bad. Boy, we have felt it. I felt it. I just haven't been as excited. Miss Clark has now been out for her 11th straight game due to that damn groin strain, and while she's progressing, she hasn't even been cleared for full practice yet. She's just been doing sprints. It's like a day-to-day outlook, and you can look all this up, but man, the numbers continue. Attention continues to dwindle, down 55%. The All-Star game was down 36%. Fever games are down 40%. And a quick aside, stop telling me that the Fever are better without her. You keep trying to push the narrative. You're wrong every time.
Cut the shit.
Please stop with the Fever are better without Caitlin. It's lazy and it's incorrect. With Caitlin now, the Indiana Fever are 8-5. Without Caitlin, they're 10-10. That disparity isn't small. A lot of those 10 wins came against a weaker schedule. What you can look up and see is actually true. I'm not just saying that. Even then, their offense really sputtered. They've had to really grind out games. And you look at their last 4. Jesus Christ, they lost 3 of their last 4. 2 of those by a combined 67 points. Kelce, who had a great run but is now starting to get the Caitlin Clark scouting report in attention and defensive focus, is only in her last 3 of 7 games had 3 absolute stinkers, shot a combined 10 of 43. They've had other injuries. They're losing more and more games. They're losing by consistently big amounts now. The idea that they are better without Caitlin doesn't hold up by any level of metric numbers. Please cut it out.
Cut the shit.
But what's happened with her absence that's even more important is this big controversy, and everyone's been talking about it. Over the past week and a half, there's now been at least 7 incidents with a neon green adult novelty item being thrown onto the court during WNBA games, and again, 7 incidents already in just the last 2 weeks. It's happened in Atlanta, Chicago, Phoenix, New York, Los Angeles. A couple fans have been arrested, both young male idiots. One was 23, one was 18, and police reports confirm it was, just supposed to be a viral joke. They see it on the news, they want to do it too. Next thing you know, they're throwing green toys. The WNBA and the Players Association, and this is the part I want to warn about, they not only blasted the incidents, and I get that, they're getting into it's misogynistic and dangerous and getting very reactionary. You're not wrong, and I'll get back to why that's important in a second. The commissioner and the league has said anyone that is caught now will face a 1-year ban and criminal prosecution. Cheryl Reid, coach of the Lynx, who's kind of one of the leaders of what I think is a dilemma, even with this situation, the WNBA had a lot to say, again, about the misogyny and holding women down for years and all the other stuff.
Obviously, you guys know what the object is. And I just want to comment on, this has been going on for centuries. The sexualization of women. This is the latest version of that. And it's not fun. It should not be the butt of jokes on any radio shows or in print or in any comments. The sexualization of women is what's used to hold women down. And this is no different. This is just its latest film. And we should write about it in that way. And these people that are doing this should be held accountable. And we're not the butt of the joke. They're the problem. And we need to take it.
It's not that she's lying. I won't go that far. I'm not going to sit here and say that she doesn't have a point. But lack of knowledge of history is important in this situation, because I don't think even the media, I've seen a lot of media people not mention this. Do y'all know this isn't the first time this has happened, this exact thing over and over again? This happened in the NFL a long time ago and happened for like a decade. The WNBA, in a lot of ways, it's funny. They're a mirror of the generation, today's generation, where y'all think not only do we have it worse, we had it first.
This is the first time that this has happened.
And it's just, once again, not true.
This is not the first time that this has happened.
This is something that has been happening in the NFL between the Bills and Patriots. This went on from 2016 for damn near a decade. And of course, it's Bills Mafia, but I don't think, do y'all know that this has actually been a recurring issue in the NFL? They just didn't make it front page news, and so I don't know if even the media knows about this, but Bills-Patriots games have a whole history of this exact stunt. October 30th, 2016, it was the first known toss of one of those things during Monday Night Football aimed at Tom Brady. I think it was even, the marker even said, "This is to Tom Brady." The ref wouldn't touch it and kicked it away. Then another Bills-Patriots game, 2017, another one was thrown. October 30th, 2018, 3 were thrown in one damn game, and they were able to remove it before the TV cameras caught it, but it was 3 in one game. January 15th, 2022, in the playoffs. Even in the playoffs, the tradition made it to the postseason. They were throwing those toys. And then after that, for 3 straight seasons, reports said it happened every time the New England Patriots visited the Buffalo Bills and that crazy-ass Bills Mafia. So I think it's important to note, WNBA, you're not the first. Not by a long shot. And I don't know why. Maybe people don't research this stuff, but it's been going on for a minute. Why that's not discussed more, I don't know. But in a bigger point, there's an issue here, because how do we stop it?
This has to stop.
It is a dilemma. These things aren't going to set off metal detectors. They're small enough to hide in bags or jackets. And even if you started checking everyone's pants and jackets and everything else, purses, pretty well, I don't mean to be inappropriate, but I don't know how to explain this. Those things can be put in places that no security guard would ever boldly go. Does that make sense? Like, the human body has its own pockets for those things.
I taught myself how to keister.
Just saying that there's a will, there's a way. If they really wanted to bring that into the game, even if you took away bags and everything else, there's somewhere they can put it. The security guard is like, I am not checking that. The only foolproof method that you could have for this would make the crowds pantless. I don't know how else you could do it, and that would be interesting on its own. It'll, of course, never happen. But other than short of making the entire audience just wear no pants the entire time they're at a WNBA game, if they really want to, there's always a way they'll be able to bring those in. So I do think the best way to address it in a serious matter is have the commissioner go ahead and say, hey, we're going to punch the hell out of you, have the local police work with the teams and organizations to say, yes, we will apply maximum enforcement. That's the only way you could really deter this thing. But the other part of this that's at least worth mentioning is this is an overall issue for the WNBA. You don't want to hear it from me, but God, y'all could use more of a sense of humor and just learn how to lighten up a little bit.
No, nothing's funny. Nothing's funny.
I know this is weird. I know this is clearly offensive and wrong, and those kids should be punished, and I'm glad that they're getting punished, and I hope they continue to do that. But again, the overreaction is something that's so consistent. I talk about how life's a rhythm, and you need to have different moods. Let's not overreact all the time to everything and say, oh, it's this huge danger and and misogyny and everything else. And while some of that is true, it's, again, you're feeding the bullies. Does that make sense? Like, pranksters feed off your drama. And unfortunately, with all this new attention, we've said it before, I'll say it again, good attention comes, but also bad attention comes. That's physics. The more eyeballs you get, the more idiots you attract. And I know none of them and a lot of the fans don't want to hear this from the middle-aged white guy. However, I have to at least give you the reality check and the reminder, I'm your audience. This is something that still also doesn't get brought up enough, in my opinion. Middle-aged white guys continue to be the #1 supporter and watcher of the WNBA by a mile. Matter of fact, male viewership now makes up 60% of WNBA audiences on ESPN platforms. Ion said 55% male, up from 50% just last year. CBS, 54% of WNBA audiences are men 18 plus, up 48% from last year across all platforms. It is way up.
Too many dudes in here.
Most new and old WNBA viewers are men and mostly white dudes. So how can I put this, because you don't want to hear it from me, even though we're your audience? I would say, like, allow the sympathy to come from other people rather than immediately ask and jump for it. I'm trying to help you, as much as you'll let me say this, understand in a way that when you overreact and you're constantly just going all the way to the saddest thing, oh, see why? Well, our whole life is terrible. No, which WNBA is very good at, rather than just learning to kind of, at least Sophie Cunningham it. I think this is one of the reasons, besides defending Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham has had such a good run of popularity. She literally got hit by one of these. And that was after she tweeted, made some joke about it. A few days later, she actually got hit with one during a game. And rather than go back into, complaining and kind of victim mode, she instead just laughed it off and actually tweeted out, that didn't age well. And just kind of had a laugh about it. That's... If you can kind of show a little more just overall thick skin, I think you'll be shocked at how much sympathy you'll get from some of the audience, and a key part of the audience that maybe doesn't always either empathize or sympathize with how your life is and what things you go through. But I still think in general, you look at the NFL, it went on for decades. They were able to kind of just literally brush it off and didn't make a big deal out of it. Even one of your own players who's had a sudden surge in popularity, that's part of one of the reasons she's so popular now. Sophie's likable. She's easy to root for. She's tough. She shows it. She's a jiu-jitsu black belt, whatever the hell. She's been around a lot of guys. I think she's kind of understood how we react to things and how we root and sympathize for others that react to things. We don't always really, it's hard to get us on your side if you immediately start crying. If you'll try to show some toughness, we'll actually, our protective gene or that kind of want to sympathize will kick in if you catch my drift. So I think we need more Sophie Cunninghams more than we need more Shadeur Reeves, who took it towards the whole platform and got on her soapbox and everything else. And bottom line, WNBA, if you want to keep growing, you need your loyalists, but you need the new fans. And the new fans, you're looking at one. This is what is still the main supporters. Women, they will talk about this league. They will bitch about it on social media. They will fight with people on social media, but they don't buy tickets the way we do.
Well, we don't actually. We watch the games.
They don't watch television and the games the way that we do. They don't support really the way that we do. You're starting to get a younger group of girls that is starting to do it, but overall, they like to talk online about it. They like to get on social media. They don't support and watch your games the way that other people do. So I don't want to tell you this is how you should handle it. I just know from seeing the NFL do it when they had their history of it and seeing how Sophie's done it, I still think in the end, a little bit more of a sense of humor, a little bit thicker skin will once again apply to a continual issue with the WNBA. But I do want to reiterate, if you catch them, punish them. They're jackasses. They deserve it. It's not really funny. It's not cool. They deserve every bad part of any punishment that they get. I will say that. But I think it could be a two-way street of if you don't feed the trolls won't have as much to inspire them to do, which is even a lot of the kids said, we saw on the news, we thought it was funny, we thought to repeat it. That's it. I got to go. Enjoy your week. I'll talk to you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share, tell your friends. And if you don't, I'm going to throw one of those green one at you. Talk to you next time. Bye.
And smash that subscribe button.